Good afternoon, this is Bticino. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to watch this video. So this video is in English because I'm discussing a product which is basically sold across the globe. And I felt that the tips I want to give are important enough to do it in English. So what is this about? Well, 3 months ago, actually more than 3 months ago now, I found a weak spot in my own Bticino uh, doorbell in a sense. And I made a video. I'll paste the link in the description below. Please look at it if you want. But I basically highlighted how I could use a paperclip to open my front door, or how I could use a 9-volt battery to open my door within 7 seconds without noticing or tripping any alarms. I did post that in an installer group on Facebook, and I got a lot of comments on it. Basically, people asking me not to publish something like this, highlighting that I got some nasty remarks, I got some positive remarks, but I also got the feedback like, hey, did you actually inform Bticino? I also got the feedback to say everybody knows that this product is unsecure in the installer community. Just don't post this online. That was kind of a feedback I got. So what I did is I contacted Bticino, or however you pronounce it. I waited also 90 days in order to disclose this, and this falls under responsible disclosure. So the previous video and the current video fall under responsible disclosure, as I waited 90 days on releasing the content after informing Bticino. So what's responsible disclosure? Well, if you find a vulnerability, either in hardware or software, you actually don't publish it online, you publish it or inform it to the manufacturer, and then the clock starts ticking. They have 90 days to issue a fix if they feel it's something important. If they neglect you for 90 days, then they actually also have you also have the right to legally disclose the information publicly. So this is one of the reasons why the video had to wait. Now, without further ado, I actually, like I said, I contacted Bticino and I highlighted to say, hey, you know what? I bought this this expensive device. Uh, this is what I want to do with responsible disclosure. And I was able to open the front without detection, as you could see in the previous video. And I was able to open it, open the front door and activate some commands. Very simple. And basically asked them what they wanted to do. And this video has been private for 90 days. So they respond to say, well, you know what? Actually, we are aware of this, right? So this is not a problem that we're unfamiliar with. We have a solution, which is good. And I mean, they highlight to have a relay, and then you have to, if you configure it this way, even if you break the box open or do the box open like I did, and you shortcut the 2PL wires, it will not actually open the lock anymore, and you would not lose any functionality. And then I obviously asked to have some more documentation. I want to update my video, checked with installers, and nobody was aware how to make it more secure. One did recommend me a different screw, and I'll highlight to that in a second. I asked for phone contacts. They never replied. So then it came back and they said, look, it's the installer that should have known. I think that's a cheesy excuse because nowhere on their website can you find this. I mean, they sell the relay, but they never make the connection or the communication. But basically, they gave me a link to the website, and I need to buy another 100 euros of equipment. That's the first response I got. So then I said, okay, I arrived home. I want to check. So how do you actually wire this? And I got to the diagrams on the documentation. So they replied to say, hey, you can buy it here. You need to connect to SCS, which is a separate bus on the controller. The contact has no current, and then you have to do a mod 5. That's the status, and so on. So again, then we highlighted to say, well, if I read this correctly, I need to provide a power source. And then again, yes, you also actually have to put a bell transfer in there. So you have to add another component, which adds another layer of cost. And then a lot of emails came by back and forth because I'm not going to put all of them in here. I asked them why this was not in their documentation. I also asked permission to release the video quicker, and then they stopped answering. That's basically a situation. Now, I also discussed this with the police. I talked to the, it's in Dutch, obviously, the prevention, whatever you want to call her. And she highlights that they actually were several burglars in this area using something similar, and that it's something they do highlight in a brochure to say, look, be aware that all these smart gateways and all smart devices are actually not necessarily the safest thing to do. Because if I can open my front door in 7 seconds, anybody else can do that, right? So they did highlight this, and they will actually potentially post this video on there as well. So it's something to be aware of. Now, how does it look like, right? How does this solve? How do you solve the problem I highlighted in the first video? But first off, like I said, this is some slides from the last session. That is, it is sold as a 2-wire kit, right? You only need 2 wires. That's what they say. And then you have this entire the no compromises. This was from last time. Someone pointed out that they are selling this as a digital door knob. They're not selling this as a lock. And this is a very important thing, because when I looked at it, I actually looked at the smart lock. This is a smart door knob. So the only thing this does is it opens the door, right? It has no locking, and it's never, not even mentioned on their website. So it's a smart way of advertisement. And this, like I said, last time I highlighted that this was the link where you could find all the documentation. Funny enough, the URL doesn't work anymore. But if you Google the file name and you browse through the website of Bticino, the document is still available in different languages or in different locations. But the original link that I posted on my video is gone. Now, how do you secure this? So last time I highlighted that the internal system, you connect your wire to a bus, you can add an additional knob here on this port. So this is a controller. And then you have your central unit, which has 2 buses that you actively use according to the wiring diagram. And here are your 2 wires that go to the front of the Bticino smart doorbell, and where you have your electric lock and your additional button you want to do to open from the inside if you want to install it. So first off, in this case, the power comes from the electric comes actually from the button here for the external system for the lock. So what they recommend you to do if you want to avoid this risk is they say, okay, you're gonna add this smart relay, which works on the SCS link. So what they explain is you connect on your SCS bus here on the internal controller. You put a 2-wire cable to the SCS bus. You set it to mod 5. You give it an address. I mean, that's actually all in the manual. If you read the manual from this smart relay, and then you get a bell transfer. So something that gives you power for the door lock. You connect that to this, and you basically put another 2 wires to your door lock. And what will happen in that case? That is, so this disappears, and obviously this doesn't matter anymore. And you actually pull 2 additional wires through your fence or to your gate or to your door, whatever you're trying to open. And those cables will power the locking mechanism and no longer the external device. Now, in my situation, I was lucky and smart enough, in a sense, when we put the cables from our central board through the gate that I want to open with this, I put a Demotica cable there. So it's already a 4-wire cable that arrives anyway. And on top of that, I also pulled a Cat6 cable, and I pulled a standard 3-wire power cable. And the reason I've done that was because I didn't know what kind of smart lock or smart gate I was going to put in by the time that I had to put the wires in when we were redoing the external wall. So for me, this was actually quite simple. I just bought this one. I still had the bell transfer lying around, and my problem was solved for 100 euros because I already had the cables. Now, I also understand that this is also used a lot on top of existing systems, on an existing 2-wire system. So how do I solve this problem if I only have 2 wires? And actually, I've made the same modifications in my system as well. So the first thing you have to realize is, for me to open the door that quickly, is you have to actually unscrew the little screw here. You lift the plate, and then you have access to this to these 6 screws, right? So you can either shortcut this one. This is the quick way. This is the 7-second way, or you unscrew these two, and then you put a 9-volt battery against it, and it opens as well. Now, the moment you have to start unscrewing, you lose time. And this is where you have to think yourselves in the heads of a thief. I mean, not that I'm a gangster or a thief, but there's always the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, right? If someone needs a lot of time to get caught, then yeah, that's basically going to annoy them. So the first thing you actually do is the screw that opens it very quickly. You can open this with the cheapest screwdriver you can find, with a standard screwdriver. But on Alibaba and other places, you can actually buy screws with a different kind of screw, with a non-standard screw, which actually makes it a significant amount difficult to how should I say, to open the box. The second thing is, the only way I was able to shortcut these two is because those 2 screws are in there. So what I've done is, simply put, I removed the screws. And one of the other things I've done is I literally took a silicone glue, right? And I've basically closed the connections. So there is, if and for the for here, I actually put super glue in here just to test, which you can remove with a solvent later, but just be aware you're booby trapping your system, right? So you're making it also difficult for yourself to make changes. But what I originally did is I just added a layer of silicone glue here as well, making it so that if I want to shortcut this, I need more time. I need to pull this open. And probably it takes 5 minutes to do so, or maybe 10. But at least that removes a time, because the 7 seconds is very simple. You just open it, close it, and you're in, right? If you're gonna stand there for several minutes tinkering with a solvent and screwdrivers and so on, it's going to make your life a lot more difficult. So the last thing you do, if you're still on the 2-wire system, this means that these 2 wires to the electrical fence are still here. What I've done is as well, actually for the cables coming in, is protect them. So I was lucky that the cables that were available aren't visible, so you can't reach them unless you actually open the gate from the middle side. So my situation, you can't reach to the cables. But if you want to protect your cables, you could actually put this kind of shielding around it. Now, I know you can cut through this with a wire as well, but the problem is, if you cut through this with a wire, you cut through it like this, you still need to start playing around in order to get the 2 wires free, to make the right, to give them the right current to open the gate. Again, this adds around 30 seconds in security, right? But any system is hackable in a sense. The point being is, if you start securing it more like this and actually add, and same thing here, which I've been considering, is you could also spray something in here, like a glue or something, to make it even more difficult for people to open it, right? If it takes you 10 to 15 minutes to open the gate, then they will go to the next one, because you're standing there in plain sight tinkering with something where you shouldn't be tinkering with. So that's kind of what my advice is. Like I said, make sure that when you buy these machines and you don't have the capability I have to separate your wires, in this case you're 100% safe, there are still kind of MacGyver ways to fix this. So this was my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made sense. And talk next time. Cheers.